Trap squad, 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 trap squad. Hey, clickbaity political. Yeah, thirst trap, trap squad, squirrel squad. Our mission is critical to speak the truth to the masses. Yeah. We here for the fight. We ain't started, but we here to finish it. Sick and tired of seeing the privilege. Take advantage of the weak and the innocent. So we let a voice be heard. Every single weeknight. Unapologetic. Black people, despite this white supremacist system that we live through on a daily, we still throwing up those acorns cause we represent clickbaity. Yeah. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad. Throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad. Yeah, I see you, yeah, I see you. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad. Let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad. Throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad. Yeah, I see you, yeah, I see you. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad.
Welcome one and all to another episode of Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap. I am one of your two hosts tonight, Marcus Farrell. Follow me on YouTube, Marcus Farrell Live, for the folks who are watching me. And I am joined tonight by my brother in arms, Pastor Ben Dixon. We are missing Mondale. Mondale might pop in here, he might not. But we're doing things a little bit differently. And tonight we are just going to stream on the Clickbaity channel. So if you guys are normally watching the Ben Dixon channel, then tonight's episode is going to be a little different because you got to go over the Clickbaity channel. And I hope you like, subscribe, and share alike. Ben Dixon.
What it do, man?
Man?
Nothing much. I just got the stream started on my side, so all of my channels are being notified, but the only thing that they're going to see is a big sign that says join us live on Clickbaity's YouTube channel. Live now. So y'all come on over and welcome everybody who's coming from the different channels. We want to make sure that we support all of the different channels connected to the network, to the Benjamin Dixon, all that stuff. So that's why we're here tonight. And I think it's a great idea, man. It's like, you know, if we could pump up this channel, then we go to somebody else's channel and pump that channel up, then we all good.
Yeah, and I appreciate it, Ben. Benjamin, if you haven't known, Ben has been doing a lot of work on his channel, man. I watch his channel go from like 20,000 people to like 40,000 to where it's at right now. And he's actually a successful businessman at this streaming game. So I'm honored to always be on the show with him. But please, if you're coming over from the Ben Dixon channel, please like and subscribe to Clickbaity channel. And also, please feel free to like and subscribe to Marcus Farrell Live. And Ben, I got to tell you something, my man.
What's happening, man?
I'm in love.
Like, for real?
Yeah. I met
you must be you bringing it up on air now. You in love with your new job? You in love with your new hustle? Your new bag?
I'm in love with a person.
What?
I'm in love with a kind human being. Like this. Hey, listen. Hey, this person, man. Shout out to this person. This person got their own streaming channel. This person is in the cannabis industry. Their name is Marcus. I'm in love with me. I'm in love with me.
I said to myself, I've known Marcus long enough to know that he ain't gonna come out here and talk about no.
I'm in love with me. I'm gonna scream it.
That's
and you
right.
better be in love with yourself too.
That's right.
You better be in love with yourself. Love yourself first. Don't love nobody, nothing more than yourself.
That's right.
People put other people on the pedestal. Drop them people off that pedestal and put yourself up there first and see who climbs up to that pedestal with you. Don't be on nobody's shelf. I love me. I fell in love with me, and boy, I'm sexy. God damn.
Come on, man.
Shout out to my neighbor across the street, man. He had a problematic ex-girlfriend, and I just seen him for the first time with something that was something, and I was like, yes, sir.
Something. I love it.
That's where I'm at right now. I'm in
Shout
love
out to everybody
with me.
in the chat room too.
What's up, chat room? What's up, Squirrel Gang, Trap Squad? Throw them acorns up if you love with yourself. If you are in love with yourself, throw them acorns up. I want to see it. I want to see it. I got some stuff I want to go across, Ben, but like you've actually probably been I love the conversation you and Rebecca had on Like It or Not this morning. It was good to talk about the ignorance of people in the streaming world. And poor Mark Lamont Hill, right? We have normalized ignorance.
Ignorance, yes. Plain and simple.
And I don't want to steal from your conversation earlier, but I did want to touch on it on this show.
Man, please do. It's important.
Matter of fact, I think you might have the clips, but I can't run them. But I got to share them because I'm the producer tonight.
You producing tonight. I get to sit back and watch.
Yeah. And don't cry, Tracy. There's no reason to cry. So Mark Lamont Hill is on Joe Budden's podcast, and just pretty much he got into an argument with Ish, and Ish was ignorant, right? And the only reason I wanted to talk about it is because across the board in society, right? And I used to relish in it, but now I see we have a society that relishes in all of the negative things.
Mm-hmm.
The negative things get elevated. Relationships, people compliment each other on playing in other people's faces now. In politics, like it's good to be pro-black, but then you go and get toxic black. And I mean, we can't even talk about the music. The worse it is, the more streams it gets, right? If I decided to take gasoline and light myself on fire, my channel would have 50 million views in a second, right? Because we like to increase negativity. So how do we counteract that, and how do we bring America back? In your opinion, man, like okay, for instance, the Earth is not flat. It's not. I don't care who you are, how cool you are, how many people follow you. If Neil deGrasse Tyson says it's not flat, it's not flat, right? So how do we counteract that, Ben? Like, because our conversation this morning was it was so good, but it was so frustrating.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, we honestly just got to call a thing a thing. Like, y'all stupid. Was that Wiz Khalifa we were playing earlier?
Yeah, it was Wiz
Khalifa. Sorry, brother, but on this issue, you just dumb. Ish. You ignorant, man. Ignorant on this issue, and we got to start calling them this, because if we don't, and we leave this gray area, right? You leave this gray area of, oh, we're just going to leave them alone because they good people, though. You know what I mean? That's my people. That's my family. I don't want to make them look and feel stupid. No, you need to. I actually wrote about. I did a podcast on this, like, I don't know, 6 years ago. And what it was before the pandemic even happened, like, I was coming back from the barbershop with my sons, and I just was listening to like how ignorant the conversation had gotten. And you know, it was a new barbershop for me, so I ain't had the room yet. No, I don't think I even had the desire yet to really just say y'all are dumb. But it really is going to take just some straight out honest talk to people and say, what you just said was the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life, and I've heard a lot of dumb stuff in my life. Right.
And people need to not necessarily get, like, here's the thing. If you could argue your point, then it's not a dumb thing, right? If you could argue it. But if everything out there has been factually able to debut what you're saying, why stand on it 10 toes down in ignorance? But that's where we are in society today. You have people who are standing on the fact that that it's okay for a white officer to shoot an unarmed black kid in the back and get away with it, but it's not okay for a black father to, or not a black father, because I don't want to go into that situation yet, but we will. but it's not okay for a white person to do the same and opposite. Like this whole society right now, for me personally, is built on negativity, and then it starts to make me ask the question: who is like? What are we telling our kids? What like it seems as if the kids are the ones nowadays who are dictating what society deems cool or not, right? Instead of there be functioning adults, right? For instance, I went to the gas station and I was bumping the Isley Brothers. Now, understand something: the songs that I was bumping, right? I was 20 years old and they were old then, right?
Yeah.
You dig what I'm saying? And bruh says to me, this young brother says to me, "Oh man, you lame as hell playing all that out loud." And I'm just thinking to myself, if I had a smaller ego, that would have hurt my feelings, right? But then I'm like, but who creates the term cool? Who create what? Why aren't you looking at me and be like, I need to get more like him? Instead of it being the opposite way around, where I guess I'm supposed to put on a little dirt and shoot at people, and that's what is popular nowadays. Bro, listen, I went out. I've been single for about 4 months now, and I've been going like out to places, and I realized something when I go out. It is lame. It is whack as hell going out. Going to clubs nowadays is here's what it is. Everybody dresses up. You have to have a section, because if you don't have a section, you're obviously not cool. You have to have bottle service with the girls in the skimpy dresses that go and they put up the sign that says Happy Wednesday or whatever. and then you stand on their furniture and you look at each other and listen to music that you can hardly hear the next person next to you say another word. I haven't seen a dance move. Well, I'm lying, because I go to black rodeos now, because we dance at them rodeos. Where the bands at? Yeah, but the whole culture is just crap, man. That's and I'm trying to figure out, like, when did this become cool? You know what I mean? Like,
because kids been raising themselves, man. I think the real truth is that a lot of kids have raised themselves, and then they started raising each other, and they start, like, don't get me wrong, there's always going to a generational gap, but I've never seen, like, the elder music. There was never a time when young black people looked back and said the Isley Brothers was lame. Nah, I ain't never seen that. But I do think today kids are being raised by themselves. They're raising each other, and they've created an entire culture that is divorced from what it was to be lineage black, like to have that culture passed down to you. I think there's a whole gap there.
Yo, I mean, you don't even see women twerking in the club anymore. They standing up like the niggas. They stay up. They're standing, just on, like, they're standing right along, like, and now the ladies are mean mugging you. What is the point of going out? You know what I mean? Like, I approach a woman, I'm almost afraid. Like, is this woman gonna shoot me? Does she have that YN energy? I don't know.
These. You need not be in the club if you feel like that's not the club for you to be in. If that's how you feel.
But it kind of goes across the board, because now listen, don't get me wrong. Atlanta is an amazing place to go out, right? There's a lot of things to do. Matter of fact, if you're ever in Atlanta, you want to hang out, hit me up, Marcus for America on X. I'll show you some dope stuff to do, right? And like from the Beltline to the cultural places that Trump is trying to defund. So all the things that are important here. But when it comes down to our culture, and like, it's almost like I don't understand how we're gonna reproduce and procreate at this point. Because how do we even talk to each other? Ben, I do want to get into some politics real quick, and then because I want to get your thoughts on this, and I don't know if you've been following us online recently, but this has to do with Georgia. My candidate, my friend of the show, Danny D. Glover, is running for Congress in the 2nd Congressional District here in Georgia against Sanford Bishop.
Okay.
Now, Sanford Sanford got elected in 1996, and I'm not going to knock Sanford Bishop. The point of this, and if you know me and you know any of my politics are very simple, right? People should get primary, especially if you've been in office for close to 30 years.
30 years.
Right. Sanford Bishop, I believe Sanford Bishop has been in office almost since Danny was in 4 years old, right? We had a chair election that was really divided, right? There's a new white guy that is now the chair of the Georgia Democratic Party. My argument was Georgia probably needs a black person as the chair, considering the fact that that's the people that you have to mobilize the most in the state to win. But I'm not going to wish Charlie Bailey any harm. He's the chair of the Georgia Democratic Party, a major swing state in presidential elections, and we need to win this state to win the presidency no matter what, right? Georgia is one of those states that if it goes blue during the presidential, there's a higher likelihood that the president becomes is a Democrat or is from the left, no matter how you want to point at it. Danny's running. Danny, the chair of his district. Now, this is I'm going to give you an example of how internal politics works. The chair of his district, CD2, his name is Will Davis. Now, this is a little contested, has been calling the Democratic Party, the folks in the party, to ask why does Danny Glover have the mobilizing tool? It's a tool that you use to organize your events when you're in political spaces. Here's my problem with that. You're supposed to stay neutral. And in a process where you have an elected chair of a district that's supposed to stay neutral, that's doing everything in their power to make sure that this young brother doesn't even have an organizing tool. And Danny's a lifelong Democrat, used to be the chair of the Macon-Bibb County Democrats. But the chair decides that he wants to call the party and ask the question of why does a challenger to the incumbent in a primary have access to a tool that all Democrats can use. Now, I want everybody watching to understand how big of a problem this is. Somebody go tag David Hogg on this one. Somebody go tag the Justice Democrats on this one. Somebody go tag the folks that want to see new blood in office. They perpetuated in real time the exact problem of why nobody trusts the Democratic Party anymore. Danny Glover has ran races in Georgia. He stood on the front lines of Central Georgia for Stacey Abrams. Whether you like her or hate her, he was Bernie Sanders' national HBCU tour director. He worked under me. I hired him.
Right.
As progressive as it gets. Publicly said I would not be sponsoring anything that has to do with the killing of kids in Gaza. Publicly said that I am a supporter of HR 40, and also I will introduce a reparations bill. And the chair of that party, and the district goes from Macon, Georgia, all the way down near to Tallahassee, North Florida, on the west side. This guy calls the party and tries to stop him from getting access to a voting tool. Not only that, we heard that, through the grapevine, of course, that this guy, the chair, is sending disparaging remarks about him. Now, I will say this right here. I'm working with Danny on his campaign, but I'm not going to do anything against Sanford Bishop. Why? Because I respect that black man. I understand that he's more of a neoliberal, but I'm just supporting my candidate versus him and these guys who are supposed to be neutral by the nature of their position, putting their thumb on the scale for incumbents to make it easier for them to win. Y'all don't think we know that Sanford Bishop is older right now, and y'all are hiding the fact that he can hardly even walk and he's not driving myself anywhere.
Mm.
I don't want to drop no hit pieces. And if y'all think the hit is going to work, this is their hit that they plan, Ben. Let me tell you the hit they plan on Danny. He got arrested for smoking weed.
I believe it. I believe it.
So if the Democratic Party is hypocritical enough on one hand to say we believe in free and fair elections, as an organizer in the state who's registered over 400,000 people in the state of Georgia.
That's right.
I was there when Brian Kemp purged all the black people out. Ben, you were here too.
Yep.
200,000 black people, 200,000 people of color in the state of Georgia, black people though. And the Democratic Party was with that. But this is the same exact party, you want to tell me this is the same exact party that wants to put his thumb on the scales? Because let me tell you something. Rigging a primary for something actually triggers me. If you know my history as the former black outreach director for Bernie Sanders, rigging the primary is something that I just cannot stand. But they are already trying to do it in a congressional race here in the state of Georgia. It makes me a non-believer in democratic politics, yo.
So what tool is that they're pulling? I'm sure I've heard of it. But what tool are they pulling from him? And did they pull it? Did they?
Oh no. See, here's the irony is, it's a private company. Mobilize is a private company. Anybody can have access to Mobilize.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the sheer fact that the email came from the chair. Like, why does he have it?
Right.
Like, if you don't know the technology, why are you emailing the state asking why does a candidate in your district have a you should be, your job is to make sure that everybody has access to a program like that. Not trying to gatekeep it. Dog, that's literal gatekeeping. You see it in real time. So I just want to give a warning to the Democratic Party, and this is not a physical, personal warning. This is more so a statement that people see actions like this. And rigging primaries doesn't do anything but disrupt the process of people wanting to vote for Democrats.
Yeah. No, man, it's that's the exact reason the system falls apart, right? When they concentrate power and they refuse to relinquish power, even through fair competition, right? Nobody's saying that you just have to hand this over to our boy. He's saying he's put up a good fight. Let's see, may the best person win. And we see in Democratic circles, as well as all other parties, it's just the nature of human politics. They will do anything they can. And as a result of it, we end up seeing what we see MAGA doing right now, right? There's a direct line between the shenanigans that happens in the back rooms of the Democratic Party and what happens in the back rooms of the Republican Party, except now the Republican Party ain't doing it in the back rooms. They're doing it in front of us. They's changing the rules in front of us. And so if the Democratic Party keeps doing things like this, it's going to discourage so many people from participating. It's going to keep weak Democrats in power. All right, let's just be honest with you, right? We need an age limit. There's not a connection between age and weakness, but there's definitely an age limit that's needed, not a term limit. There has to be a term limit. And when a person gets to a certain age, come on, man. Now it's time for you to go and sit on the dock of the bay, man. It's time for you to go and watch the ships pass by, right?
That's right.
There's no more time because you can barely keep your wits about you, can barely keep track of what's going on, and you become run by your staff versus you running it. And so no, there has to be a threshold, term limit, age limits, and it has to be an end to this constant grab of power where they refuse to share power with anybody else.
Well, I think a lot of these situations are basically caused from, there's also another conversation that we need to have about this term limit thing and these folks who want to stay in office until they're 88, 89, 90, 95 years old until the day that they die. There's a more important thing. They want to actually pick their predecessor. They want to pick their the person that's behind them. They want to have, and the problem with that is when you are a long-term elected official, you gain so much power just from the years that you've been there.
Yeah.
Whether it's actual functional power or relational power, you actually gain a lot of power when you are there. So there's a lot of people who see, and I see the value in that, but I also see the vacuum in that. There's a vacuum in that when one person stays in power for so long that every single year they are the chair of the Armed Services Committee. Every single year they are the whip of the party. Every single year. And then you wonder why our politics are so stagnant.
That part.
Because we can't get new ideas from people who've been doing the same job for the past 20 years.
Oh, man. It reminded me of this clip I just saw of Jim Carville going after Ilhan Omar, because Ilhan Omar called out the violence of white men in the United States of America. And then Jim Carville got on there and said, what do you mean? You're going to tell me we're going to alienate 69%, take 69% of the population, cut them in half, and you're going to alienate? And what I'm saying is, bro, you haven't won a race since 1992. Like your entire mindset and framework is so rooted in a time that's so long ago, you barely can remember it. So why are we taking advice from somebody who hasn't won a race since 1992, probably has a hard time remembering his kids' names, right? But this is how y'all want to run a party. And this is why they're giving David Hogg so much hell, right? They're giving him so much hell because from what I see, the little bit I'm seeing of it is that he is absolutely going after he's not buying into this idea that you can't primary a Democrat. And he's bringing in a level of youth that I think that turns off a lot of the people who are Jim Carville's age.
Okay, I hate to sound like Bernie, but we need a political revolution. We do. And you know, in every revolution, there's artwork, there's graffiti, there's tagging throughout history, right? Throughout history. There is, you know, in the French Revolution when they were painting old girl Marie Antoinette with having sex with the corporations and stuff like that. Like there's been evidence of this, and our party needs some graffiti in it. Our party needs some more color in it. Our party needs a little bit more gangster in it. And the problem is that we have people who think that we can operate with this chivalry, with this. I mean, the election itself should be chivalrous, but the fight once you are elected needs to be gangster.
Yeah.
And if you've been in office for 30 years and there's a Republican who's been in office for 20 years from your same state, how gangster are you really going to get with this person?
Nah, they're buzzed. They want to go get beers together.
They're going to get beers and drink.
Yeah.
Right? You got senior Republican leaders who can tell a younger, wild Republican which Democrat that they need to go talk to get a bill passed. Think about that for a second. So think about that. Say, well, he's going to be cool with it. All you got to do is say that I said something about it. And nowhere in that conversation did any of our constituencies come up. Nowhere in that conversation did any of our constituencies come up. We need to have a revolution of political minds and also attitude when we're walking into this. I'm sorry, man. Once you get to a certain, I'm not even going to say that. I'm not going to say a certain age. I'm saying once you have been established for so long, the fight is out of you. And I think the term limits would end up working out better for Democrats than Republicans in the long run anyway.
Facts.
Because you're going to, yeah, so I agree in term limits. And it's almost like, you know, well, if the president has a term limit, I think the senator should have a term limit also, right? We can find more people to replace these folks.
All day.
Speaking of replacements, did you hear the joke that Marjorie Taylor Greene was thinking about running for president?
I did not hear that.
No, she's thinking about running for U.S. Senate here in Georgia because Brian Kemp decided that, and I don't want to make this a Georgia-based conversation because there are some other things I want to talk about, especially out there in Arizona. But Marjorie Taylor Greene is thinking about running for U.S. Senate against John Ossoff.
Good luck with that. Now, I see if Brian Kemp had run, I think that would have been a really, really hard fought battle. I think Ossoff could have lost, but I
think
yeah,
no,
well,
he would have lost.
To
Brian Kemp. There's no think about that.
But with Marjorie Taylor Greene, it's good luck, Marge.
Well, so it's going to be fun because the advantage that Democrats can take if properly ran is that Marjorie is going to run on pomp and circumstance, loud noises, crash and burn, car wreck campaign, say whatever Trump tells her to say. And the people of Georgia aren't going to take that because you got to think about it. One of the reasons that Brian Kemp is one of the most popular governors in America right now, if not the most popular governor in America right now. I know he's the most popular Republican governor. I'm not sure if he's the most popular in general. It's because Brian Kemp went against Trump publicly. Brian Kemp went against Trump and still remained in office. Brian Kemp can pull Democratic voters. Brian Kemp definitely can pull Democratic white men. So you know, it's going to be an interesting race if she decides to jump in. And it's just going to be very interesting to see a Marjorie Taylor Greene yard sign anywhere in Atlanta.
That's going to be crazy. I don't think that sign will last one day. They might as well not even invest in Atlanta.
Yeah, so it is what it is. I mean, and down in the state of Florida, we have Byron Daniels, who has he launched his campaign for governor yet?
Who's this now? Byron Daniels?
Donalds.
I don't know. I got to check in with the state of Florida, but I know the last I heard from them was his DeSantis' wife was thinking about running, right?
DeSantis was thinking about running for what?
His wife was thinking about running for governor.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So they're gonna make a monarchy out of it.
Yeah, that's what I think they want to do down there. But I know Byron Daniels was thinking about running, but I don't know how remember that the last town hall he had and when they basically booed his behind. I don't know if he's thinking about for now.
Well, they all should be being booed at this point. Like they literally they all should be being booed. If you are a Republican elected official right now in America, and you are not getting the picture, if you're not getting the picture that y'all starting to mess with the white people money, you thought you had something good. You thought that. See, what they really thought was that the black people were going to go to the fields. They thought the black people were going to start cleaning the houses. We done got used to our lifestyle. Like I hate to be like that, but the Latinx community has been holding it down when it comes down to jobs that we don't necessarily want to do.
Mm-hmm.
We got to keep it real. So who you gonna get to clean your toilets now, buddy?
They're gonna get a lot of desperate Americans because of the way Donald Trump is destroying this country. It's destroying the economy, destroying jobs. They're going to be people who are so desperate for work that they will go and work for $5 an hour. And that's right. Exactly where Donald Trump wants us to be. That's where MAGA needs us to be.
When do you think the shit is going to hit the fan for the Republican Party? Because I think it has to happen.
It kind of depends on how it falls, like how the domino. Because I think MAGA. See, one thing I think, folks, I think MAGA is executing a very, very efficient plan. I think the failings that we think he's making mistakes on, right? It's not really mistakes. You know, the economy was tanking, the stock market was tanking as his friends were shorting the stock market, right? And then they turn around and then they were buying stocks, and now some of them made $1 billion in a single day. So it's like, was the economy, was a stock market crashing a failure, or was it strategy, right? And I look at what they're doing on immigration. I look at how they're intentionally ignoring the courts. Like I think that they're making a full court press. In the meantime, what are the things that they're doing? Is they're changing these regulations on food, changing these regulations on water, changing the regulations on milk and meat, and they're getting rid of vaccine mandates, and they're gutting the public health system so much that it's not going to take long before America is just too sick to actually do anything about it. So MAGA's playing a really long game. The real question is can they get it accomplished before 2026? Because I think by 2026, if they haven't weakened democracy and weakened America enough, I think that's when they'll pay some. They're going to pay some hell. They're going to have hell to pay. But I think MAGA's executing a really, really efficient plan. I hope I'm wrong, but just taking a step back and realizing how many people made money off of every time there was a swing in the stock market, looking at how they're playing the long game and they're setting things up for the long run to really weaken America. I don't know, man. They might get away with it if we're not careful.
Can we blame Ruth Bader Ginsburg yet?
Yeah. Well, you know, I can only really blame her for Roe versus Wade. And then any other decision that comes after it, right? And then the question is, can we blame Obama for not, doing a recess appointment to the Supreme Court back when Merrick Garland was his original pick, right? I think we can blame I think we can blame this entire system on its own collapse, because you had half of the people sleepwalking, thinking everything was institutionalized and everything was going to be fine. They wanted to go and get beers and wanted to go have whiskeys with MAGA. And on the other side, you had people like MAGA, the GOP, the Tea Party, all this. It's the same, just a different version of it. They have been planning the destruction of progress for the last 70 years. They've never stopped thinking about it. So you have half of American politics who all they have been trying to do is to take America back to a time when they could used to beat their wives and not get in trouble. And then you had the other half who thought, oh, we can negotiate with them.
Oh, who do you see? I see the negotiations with MAGA is the thought process behind that. You know what I'm thinking, Ben? I'm thinking that what's the one step too far, right? Like, what is the one thing that happens? Because the Trump administration is going to try to throw anything at the wall and see what sticks, and the Republican Party is going to have to. But at some point, and it usually happens around November, December, January of the midterm elections, right? So that's next summer, next year. When people start holding elected officials accountable, and some of these congressmen and senators and elected officials are going to have to come to terms with the massive amount of poor people that are in their district that are pissed off and that are Republican.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And at that point, all of these votes can't just go Trump's way, because I'm going to tell you something. An elected official is more loyal to getting elected than they are to Trump. So there's going to be a crossroads. And then also, as Brother Jason Johnson told me, he believes that Trump is going to run for a third term. Just announced.
Yeah.
What is a step too far?
But it's not one for a good percentage of MAGA. There's no step too far. Like, okay, so for every person that made money in the stock market swings that we just came through, a lot of people lost their shirts. A lot of federal employees voted for Donald Trump. Now they don't have a job, right? There's people whose lives, hell, there was some people who lost their child, died of the measles outbreak in Texas, and they still support it. Right. So there's a level of commitment that goes beyond rationality, and that they're pot committed. You play poker before. You ever get so committed in a pot, you're like, oh, well, hell, let me just go all the way through it. they are pot committed unto death. Now, that's not all of them. The question is like, what percentage of people who voted for Donald Trump are in the cult, and how many of them are like, okay, I can break away from the cult? I honestly don't know what that breakdown is.
Well, I mean, this is the lowest approval rating that Trump has ever had since he's been president. Right? And what does that mean? Right? Like what does that mean? Right? The only person to beat Donald Trump so far is Joe Biden, right? We don't have another Biden, but we don't have. First off, if the process is even allowed for another presidential election, which I think is just going to be, right? I mean, unless because the only thing that I see to actually make the American public even fathom having a third term and then not having a revolution because of it is sort of the same thing they did with FDR, maybe some kind of wartime act. That means that they would have to start a war, right? Like
they're not above that.
And they're not above that. I mean, if they can start a war without leaking all the damn information before it gets out, maybe we'll win.
That part.
Yeah, but on the same token, I think that they would have to start either a war or it's going to be a revolution. And then there's nobody on our side that like that is appealing right now in many ways. I mean, I have my personal. You want to hear my personal list?
Who's your personal list? Who's your top five? Who's your top three?
Top five. Nah, I'll give you top. Let me just name them until I can't name them no more. Number one on my personal list. I don't care if he's a neoliberal or not. Number one on my personal list is Ruben Gallego. Number one. That's my guy. Only because he's my friend. Do I disagree with him politically? But also, like, I've seen Ruben move. When I say that, I don't mean that like. I've seen Ruben move, and I also think about how Latinx name, Marine Corps, progressive, really wants to push higher wages. I got to move him on reparations, but he damn sure said he'll sign HR 40. But like introduce it, I don't know. But just personally, that's my number one, and it's because he's a senator. If he was a congressman, I wouldn't say that. Ruben, I'll tell you that to your face. AOC. And again, all these folks have the level of problematic, right? Because AOC, she can play the game, but sometimes she goes a little too conservative for me. Killer Mike.
Who that?
Killer Mike.
Killer Mike. Okay.
I think we need to have some celebrity dark horse, pure progressive. I do. Politically, who else can I think of? A much more nuanced, independent thinking, progressive Kamala Harris. Just for name ID alone. A billionaire who's willing to run on the Green Party ticket. That's my number one.
Now I ain't gonna lie, and that what you just said was a game changer.
Yeah, that's my number one. If a billionaire,
like not just a one-time billionaire, but like Michael Bloomberg rich, not Michael Bloomberg,
Mark Cuban. Like
Mark Cuban rich.
Yeah, that's my number one. If a billionaire ran on a Green Party ticket, that'll be a problem.
Yeah, that'll be a problem. That'll be a good problem.
That'd be a great problem.
That would make me change my whole calculus, because everything I've ever said about the Green Party is that they can't win. And Jill Stein is just not serious. But you get somebody who come and drop $1 billion, like somebody who got a spare $1 billion can literally change the dynamics of the entire American system if they were a billionaire and ran for the Green Party. I'd support that. I support that. Why the hell? Why the hell not? Why would we not support that?
Well,
That's
like because and see that's the conversation right there, right? Like, think about it for a second. You know look how easy it is for us to support the Green Party platform. It's the easiest thing. You can't argue with it. Not really. They have on their website reparations, right? A hyper well-funded Nina Turner, maybe for vice president, maybe for president. I don't know, because it's the dynamics. The dynamics of the next presidential election are going to be so different because there's no incumbent Democrat, because we lost so bad last time because of how trash Trump is, because it's going to be the establishment Democrats' last chance at let's try this neoliberalism again.
Well, let me give you my list real quick.
Yeah, I would love to hear it.
Kamala Harris, much completely free of the Democratic establishment consultants. If it's a Kamala Harris that has the same team that she ran with before, she shouldn't even show up. And it's because I don't like her. It's because that team, she was, no, she got to get away from them. Tim Walz, separate from that team that they just ran this last election campaign with. AOC would be in that lineup, and give her maybe not 2028. Maybe 4 years is a long time. Well, she needs 2 years. So 2 years, not enough time. But I'm going to say, I'm going to say Jasmine Crockett in 2032. 2032, I think Jasmine Crockett, if she stays on her trajectory now, she'll have enough heat to actually make it in 2032. But we're talking about 2028. I see the big three. I see Kamala without the Democratic establishment. Tim Walz, I think Tim Walz could have done so much better had he just not been coached by anybody in the Democratic establishment. I think the key thing here is the Democratic establishment. I think you can take just about any of the candidates that we've seen over the last couple of years and all those who are thinking about it, and you subtract the Democratic establishment and consultants, and you got yourself a good candidate.
I forgot about my guy, Ro Khanna. I wouldn't mind seeing Ro.
I like Ro, but he's
but see,
sometimes he jumps on, like, sometimes he got that he's got like a MAGA, like his MAGA radar ain't working strong enough for me, because sometimes he pops up in places and conversations and positions. I'm like, what are you doing, Ro?
Yeah, I mean, here's my thing, bro. My number one person for president is the person that pushes universal health care. The person that says universal health care in a primary and in a general. The person
I was saying in general.
And in general. The person who says they're going to reform the police departments. Because, I mean, listen, by the time it comes around, America's going to be fucking poor.
Yeah.
Like,
this was the other part I was going to say about it is, though, my honest truth is if they are not going to run on an anti-white supremacy, anti-racist platform, and let's just have this out, right? We got to have this out at this point. So anybody who's going to shy away from the racism and the white supremacy that's at the core of the United States of America, and that's at the core of MAGAism, they're not going, they're not prepared to win, because they're not even prepared to fight the fight that has to be fought. So I mean, that kind of just changes all of the calculus. Like, I don't really know who is actually going to go out there and say white supremacy is the problem. Here's how it has affected you. Here's how much it cost you. Here's how many lives it cost you. And here's how we get around it. And here's how we fix it. If they're not willing to do that, I don't know that any Democrats are ready to win.
And because of the poverty level that's going to be in America next time, hence properly funded universal basic income. These are the conversations that have to start happening after retiring. If we look at any new democracy, especially the ones in Europe, because they're our most recent kind of example of these things, you went from a Hitler to universal systems. You went from a Mussolini to more universal systems. You went from the only thing that wasn't really, I guess, the Soviet Union, but that's a whole different conversation because that's the form of government. But we're going to have to look at what Europe did, right? We're going to have to look at what Europe did after a fascist. And after fascism, normal corporate America-led policy is not going to fix our issues because we're going to have that many poor people. And it's been fundamentally proven right now that America is not good at regulating industry to make sure that black, brown folks, poor people have jobs.
Facts.
They just can't do it, right? And think about it. I want everybody who's watching right now to think about it. Do you know what your congressman believes in?
I'm speaking of, yeah.
Does anybody watching know, besides people in Vermont and New York, do you know what policies they want to push? I know Nakima more than I know her policies. Right? I don't know what these people want to push. By the way, I like Nakima, so I'm not knocking her. I like Nakima a lot. But I don't know what these people want to push. I don't know what their platforms are, right? So, we don't even know what these elected people stand for.
That part.
And that's on purpose.
Yes, I was going to say, you took the words out of my mouth. That's not happenstance. That didn't just happen. That's very intentional. Very intentional. That way they can't be held accountable for anything.
I'm gonna take a look at a couple of the comments in the comment section, and while I take a look, listen. You're watching Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap. Whether you're watching on the Marcus Farrell Live channel, whether you came over from the Benjamin Dixon channel, please, so other people can get this content, like, subscribe, and share. Moral of the day for me personally is that I fell in love with myself again recently, and it's so amazing. Maz Melly says the governor has the power to impose martial law within the borders of the state. Trump tried to enact martial law in the state of Minneapolis, Minnesota, where the death of George Floyd took place. Yes, he did. Maz is coming with it. Tiger style. We need someone that came from the trenches this time around. That's right. I absolutely agree. Maz Melly says, Maz Melly, you on one tonight. What AOC is overshadowing Jasmine Crockett? I don't know. I don't know.
Let me tell you why I disagree with that.
Yeah, and I don't know about that one.
I love AOC to a degree. But AOC has been there much longer and has quite a few machines behind her now, right? She's not just the AOC machine that she built, much respect. She's got the Burn machine behind her, which, much respect to both of them. But Jasmine Crockett, just on GP, just on delivering receipts, just on how she presents herself, like she's really the top voice in the Congress right now. I'm trying to think, like, who's really more outspoken than Jasmine in terms of not just what she says, not just the quality of what she says, how she says it, but also the kind of reach that she's getting and the views, plus the level of hatred. If you want to really see who's ahead of the game, you got to see who they're pouring all their hatred out towards. They're not pouring all their hatred out towards AOC these last 2 years. They've been pouring it out to Jasmine because Jasmine is getting up in their grill. That's my talk.
Yeah, no, the more they hate you, the more they want to be you. And if you want to look, I mean, I don't know if you guys need to go on TikTok and Instagram, and also just TikTok and Instagram, and then type in Jasmine Crockett, and they're going to show you how this woman has been obliterating the Republicans in these hearings.
Oh my goodness, has she ever?
It's a thing of art, and I mean, basically, she is a lawyer. Basically, every time she has one of those "I'm gonna take out my earring" moments, it's a thing of beauty, and DC has never saw that before. DC has seen black women fighters before. Let me, in the spirit of Chisholm, in the spirit of Maxine Waters, in the spirit of a lot of folks who've been in office, but they have not seen someone who can articulate from both points of view and get her message across to America. Because see, understand something. People don't want to admit this, but the black vernacular is a universal language in America. Folks don't want to admit that. But black vernacular, more than just proper English, black vernacular, I can go to the Midwest and talk like Jasmine Crockett, and everybody there will understand exactly what I'm saying. They'll like it more.
Because it's just better. It's just a better. Listen, my mother gets mad at me sometimes because she's like, "Been all them time, you sound like you know." She doesn't like what I speak, because she likes, Anyway, neither here nor there. It's easier. It communicates more. We say less, but we say more. You know what I mean? Like we could cut out 3 syllables out of a word and say 10 times as much. It's just it's a more brilliant way of speaking. I don't care what anybody says.
Yes. So I think that Jasmine, when it comes down to momentum, we're talking about popularity level, not qualifications for president. But I think Jasmine actually is a little bit above AOC right now. AOC busy on the tour, man. Jasmine out here in these congressional streets. A few things. Number one, this is from Mike again. A few things. Kamala Harris, not a progressive at all. 2, a multi-billionaire running at the top of the Green Party wouldn't solve anything. People need a president that can relate to the struggle. Here's why I say billionaire, Mike again. I say billionaire because you need money to compete.
Yeah.
My thing has always been very simple. The first person that can put a 1,000-point commercial up the last 2 months of the election in every state saying universal basic income and universal health care is going to win that presidency. That the first person that says, I'm going to legalize cannabis and puts 1,000 points up a week. And if you don't know what 1,000 points is, you can go over to Marcus Farrell Live. I have a breakdown of it right now. If you can put 1,000 points, that means every single time you turn on your commercial, turn on your television, and you see a commercial, even though I don't believe commercials work, if you can put up mailers in every mailbox, if you can put up speeches, and you can also do face-to-face conversations with people and have the money and the infrastructure to do it, then you're going to win that election. You're going to win that election, especially if you have enough money to pay organizers to go knock on doors. You're going to win that election. The first person that has enough money to actually make that happen, where you can actually have a progressive message and it's advertised like these do-nothing Trump messages and these do-nothing Democratic messages. I'm just going to stop Trump. Instead of saying, as your president, I'm going to make it so no matter what happens, you're going to have $2,000 a month. As your president, no matter what happens, I'm going to make sure you have access to health care, free college. As your president, I'm going to fight for Black Americans that are descendants of child slavery to have reparations. I believe the first person that does that is going to be able to win a presidency. There's a lot of white folks that are going to get turned off by the last one, but the first 3, it is what it is. We can keep going through some of these messages. Please make sure you like and subscribe. We're way down here. I'm sorry I missed y'all, man. I missed all y'all. Good grief. Okay. Nicole says,
what about Pritzker?
If you can win Illinois, you can win a lot of places. Listen, I got a business in Chicago that Pritzker is the boss of right now. And the only thing I can say is that at least they allowed an equity license for cannabis. in Chicago, but there's a lot of issues. I mean, we got to keep it 1,000, right? Like, how do we? What is?
We lose you, Doc? You did? I lost your audio. Or was it me? Say something else now. Say something.
I'll be right back. Ben, run it.
Who can y'all hear? Can y'all hear us both? Yeah, just hear me. Hang on, let me check my own audio. Yeah, so my audios seem to be fine. Okay, I think he had to step out. Okay, they heard you, Marcus, and you're gone, but he'll be back in a second. All right, so he'll be back. There he is. Try now, Marcus. Crazy. I don't hear you.
I should be good now, right?
There you go. We got you.
There you go. Yeah. So, yeah, I think Pritzker would. I mean, he's a white man. He's a Democrat. I tell you who
He's
I
a billionaire.
want. Huh? Yeah,
he's a billionaire. That don't help.
I do not want Rahm Emanuel.
No, certainly. Listen, there are certain people who I will completely walk away and actively fight against the Democratic Party no matter how it falls. Michael Bloomberg was one because we don't. Here's the difference between a Michael Bloomberg billionaire running as a Democrat. Same thing with Mike Pritzker running as a Democrat. We don't need billionaires to come in and buy what is already owned by billionaires. The Democratic Party is already just like it's owned by money. And then to have a billionaire come in and just use this pocket change to buy up what's left of democracy, that's a no-go for me. Rahm Emanuel just owned GP. Rahm Emanuel, is he in elected office right now?
No, he's
okay,
not.
Somebody needs to he needs to run into some people on the streets. That's the kind of dude Rahm Emanuel is. He is he's the evil in the Democratic Party. He's that consistent thread of bad stuff that could have gone good, but went bad because of Rahm Emanuel. All the way back when Obama was actually literally talking about nationalizing some banks. Who was it that got him off of that? Rahm Emanuel. Who was it that made sure the bailout didn't do anything for the American people, but did something only for the banks? Rahm Emanuel. Who then took that and went to Chicago and shut down all the schools in the black community in Chicago? Rahm Emanuel. Who then knew that there were 16 shots that killed Laquan McDonald, almost lost his name. And then he hid that until after he got reelected as mayor. Rahm Emanuel. So Rahm Emanuel, if he got anywhere even near the conversation, even in a primary, we'd have to have some real serious come to Jesus moments, because then the Democratic Party would just, if they nominated him, they would need to lose and never rise again.
Nicole Bryant says it's hard to push your agenda when Republicans are gaslighting everything. Listen, me and Ben almost got to a knockdown, drag out argument on this show a couple of weeks ago over the same topic. I am hoping that Ben understands now, and I'm hoping that you guys understand this one thing.
I'm hoping you understand. No, go ahead.
My only thing is Trump is using these executive orders like a pimp use hose. If the next Democrat ain't ready to pimp these executive orders, if we get a president, the next Democrat ain't ready to just go ahead and force their way through and make Republicans sue for every decision that's made, then the next Democrat don't need to be the president. Because there's no way that you can fix.
Yes.
There's no way you can fix the destruction that Trump has done without forcing through things, without having the same energy. You can't.
You can't.
Now, maybe everything that you do gets you not unelected after the first 4 years, but you have to fix what Trump has destroyed. We got whole ass relationships with other countries that we got to fix, bro.
But to see, I want to pause you real quick. Nothing you said is wrong, but here's the problem. We ain't gonna be able to fix the relationships with those countries until we have purged the United States of America of this demon that is MAGA. But to be sure, it's not just MAGA, it's the demon of white supremacy. If we don't purge that, then the next person who comes after Obama's third term, you know what I mean? They would just go back doing MAGAism again. And so until the world sees that we have purged the United States of this ignorance, the world has no reason to trust even the next Democratic president, because what happens 4 years later?
Well, what happens when I say that president is going to have to pimp these executive orders is a system where we have fair and free elections, a system where we put in things that actually benefit Americans instead of, because the next president is going to have to be able to say, I'm doing a good job, right? At that point, to do a good job in America, trust me, 4 years from today, if a Democrat is president, to do a good job in America means that you are putting some universal basic things out there. It has to. Because you have to fix what was broken. In my opinion, in order to fix what was broken, you're going to have to do things that puts money in Americans' pockets. This is the ultimate trickle down. This neo-fascism that Trump is doing right now, the neo-tech bro takeover of Earth, right? We're going to have to fix that because the tech bros don't care, right? They're down with automation of everything. Everything that can be done by a computer that can lose an American person's job, they're willing to do it as long as these white people are willing to pay for things. But here's the problem. When the white folks start losing their job and going to the bread lines, which is going to happen, right? Like, I guarantee that there's going to be a lot more poverty in America within the next 4 years. They're going to have to fix it fundamentally. And that means that money from the government somehow has to go back into the American people's pockets. Whoever does that first, most likely is going to be a Democratic president or a Green Party president or somebody from the left, whether far left or near left. But no matter what happens, it's going to have to do something, because you can't just hope that jobs come back to America. Taxes are not lowering for us, Ben. Taxes are lowering for the billionaires. But if we're paying taxes, then that money has to come back to us. The executive orders have to be placed in a way that the president looks good, because he's just basically putting food back on your table. Does that make any sense, or am I?
No, it makes sense, but I still see so here's the other thing. This is saying this. There's momentum and energy being built into just the next iteration of the Democratic establishment. It's not really any different than the Democratic. Matter of fact, it's actually worse than the Democratic establishment. Right now, the Republicans that are leaving the Republican Party because of MAGA, they're coming to the Democratic Party and they're making demands of the Democratic Party. So what does that mean? We're going to go further and further and further to the right. Ultimately, what's going to end up happening, and what I fear happening, is that if a new power base doesn't emerge, that we're going to end up with an even worse Democratic Party that's representative of, like, let's say Joe Walsh, or even more familiar to everybody would be Liz Cheney, right? That becomes the Democratic Party. And here's the thing. There is a base inside of the Democratic Party right now that would love that. They would love to go that way versus going back where everybody would get universal health care. You see what I'm saying? Like, and so and I hate to say this, I hate to call names out because I actually like some of them, but at the end of the day, I actually recognize the power and the power game and the people who are in their orbit. But the biggest media company right now, Midas Touch, they would just as soon align with Liz Cheney and this right-wing even more right-wing version of the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, than they would the left. And what I'm seeing more and more and more is that there's just momentum and money that's being poured into the very people whose ideas got us destroyed in the first place. So while there's a lot of good content that's out here that's really like, explaining why Trump is so bad and it's good, and I appreciate it because we need to do that at this point because it's all hands on deck. I think we got to really clearly see that they might be doing a decent job of taking a stab at Trump, but they're not for us in the long run. They're not for working people. They're not for black folks. Because when I say they're not for black folks, I mean they're not against white supremacy. If you haven't opened up your mouth to go against white supremacy, you ain't for black folks. And so as long as we don't have a power base of our own to actually make demands, Republicans got enough money to come and make demands of the Democrats, and the Democrats are just going a little bit further over there to them. And don't get me wrong, would it be better than to have actual fascists in power? Yes, because at least we'd have a functioning enough democracy that we could actually get to the polls, right? But is it going to be marginally better when it all plays out? I don't think none of them are going to do anything for us. And when AI takes over everybody's job, I think they're all okay with a good portion of America just being able to, barely get out of the bed and barely eat.
Ben, would you rather a moderate president or Diddy baby oil to shave on to use for lotion on your head?
I don't know what kind of question that is, but I'm not going to answer that one. I'm not going to.
Would you? That's Look, how I feel about it. I don't like either one of them.
I don't know. Let me check, but again, and this one, I think this one we ended up fighting so hard the last 2 weeks ago, because I'm gonna tell you, would I take a Gavin Newsom over Trump third term?
Yes.
Yes.
Of course.
Do I want Gavin Newsom even on the stage? No.
No. Yeah, and then also Gavin has already shown us in the state of California that there's no possibility for reparations. That conversation is
just shot it down. Actually, he didn't shot it. Didn't he get some people to shoot it down for him?
He got people to shoot it.
Slick move, Gavin Newsom. Then I also saw him make a whole spectacle of him going around tearing down homeless encampments himself. And to think, I just think this really burns me, man.
How about Jon Stewart?
Yeah.
No Jon Stewart for president?
I mean, he's good at what he does. But no, let me finish this thought about Gavin Newsom.
Okay, sorry about that.
Because what almost made me crash out was when I saw him tearing down, and I think about you think about people who all they have left is their tent, bro. And Gavin Newsom did a photo op, a video shoot, a press conference of him going around tearing down people's tents and their belongings. There's a level of violence that's just sitting in me that I cannot speak when I see stuff like that, man, because that's really truly evil. So do I want Gavin Newsom in the conversation? Absolutely not. Would I vote for him if it's between him and Trump? Reluctantly, I would have no choice but to.
So we need to stop the bleeding early.
Now. Yes.
So we won't be having this conversation 3.5 years from now, 3 years from now, right? I don't want to have this conversation. I don't need a moderate Democrat anywhere near the primary. I don't want that. I don't need that. I don't see that. Thank you, Maria. Maria just Dr. Cole just texted me and she said Al Franken for president. So absolutely.
I liked Al Franken in that show, The Residents. Have you seen The Residents yet?
Yeah, Al Franken's that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, he got some moderate ways about him too, though. Like, see, what I'm asking America for is something that is just progressive. Scary progressive. And if it's a well-funded campaign and the Democrats decide to not put their thumb on the scale, we can win. I don't care if it's a white man. I don't care if it's a black man. Honestly, if you look at the percentage of black elected officials right now that are in Congress, we might not need another black person because all the black people that are up in that scale are not progressive. They're not.
I'd support Tim Walz. I'm not gonna lie. I'd ride with Tim Walz from now. If he started something right now, all the way till election day, my money would be with Tim Walz because he is that kind of progressive, right? But he's also kind of. Oh yeah, look what he did.
Tell me why.
Yeah. Nah, he got free lunch for all the students there in Minnesota. Was it Minnesota?
Okay. Now
yeah. He has been an advocate. He is
Tim Walz.
He is an advocate for Medicare for all. He is an advocate for he's an advocate against white supremacy. I've heard him actually call it out for what it is. Can he be better on some issues? I haven't heard him say anything about reparations. So I don't know where he stands on that. We need to find out where he stands on that. But if you're talking about like a white progressive that actually wants progressivism in policy and in action, that list gets really narrow really fast. It really almost comes down to Bernie Sanders, comes down to Tim Walz, and Bernie's too old.
Where are I know where they are. AIPAC messed with them. I said, where are our black progressive? Jamal Bowman and Corey, and they got AIPAC.
See, we got to get, I'm gonna be honest with you. I almost would say you, me, and Mundell, let's stop doing clickbaity and let's start meeting 4 days a week so we can build this power structure. We ain't got to stop doing clickbaity. I'm just saying, like we need to put our energy into building the power structure that actually can fight back against these people. Because when you have AIPAC having the ability to come in and just completely eliminate our black progressives eyes, and all we can do is sit back and watch, that's an us problem at this point.
Tiger's coming with it. What about Mark Ruffalo, dude who played the Hulk? I heard he's a progressive. Maybe swipe with the movie star angle. Look, let me tell you something. Mark Ruffalo is the real deal. That's my guy right there. Shout out Mark, and also Mark has watched this show a couple of times. So shout out to Mark Ruffalo. That's a friend of the show. I would try to get him on, but I can't book him, and he costs a lot of money. But Mondale might be able to get him on because they did a thing together one time. But shout out to Mark Ruffalo, Burning Man. I rock with him. Mark Ruffalo, Killer Mike, 2028. Maxwell Frost. I like Maxwell. Maxwell is good. Maxwell is
got
good.
A couple years under him. He got to get though, but
he does. Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap. Tim Walz has been holding town hall meetings around the country. Tim was pushed to do free breakfast in Minnesota. He may not be progressive, but the man listens. That's a start.
Listen, push him. I like a man who could be pushed, a man who actually listens. And you talking about somebody who gets it from the gutter. Like, I don't know if he was born poor, but I know he's living on a pension. He ain't a billionaire. You know what I mean? So, somebody who actually knows what it is to pay some bills. There you go.
Del Sol Verde. The sun is green, right? Maybe I'm off. The green sun. You need the Democrats? ? See, look. Here's a conversation I'm gonna have real quick about this, which is a constant battle on this show. We agree with each other, we disagree with each other, but it is a thing. Do you need the Democrats? No, I need a win. I need a victory. I need a win, right? Green Party, Independent Party, Labor Party, right? I saw somebody speak about the Labor Party. My man who's trying to start a Labor Party right now out of New York. Dope dude, man. I talked to him on the phone recently, and he got my phone number. I'll help him organize. We need a victory. There's an interesting dynamic that I think about when I think about what an independent party would look like, what a third party victory would look like. And interestingly enough, I believe that conversation could possibly happen in 3 years from now if the work is being done right now to increase the numbers of folks who know about it in some of the places where Democrats lost votes. Right now would be the best time for a third party to rise up. Right now would be the best time so we can have another option, right? Because there are Republicans who are poor. There are Democrats who are poor. Those people need to get together and maybe have their own thing. But as it stands right now, and I think about metropolitan centers of America, because I'm going to tell you something, the third party is not going to come from mid-America where all the Republicans are. Third party is not going to come from that. They're going to stick to they'll either get worse or go back to being regular Republicans. Third parties will be a part of the major cities, the urban cores, the places where Democrats typically organize. That's where a third party is going to come from in America. And the third party will be more of an independent vibe. So you got to look at the Atlantas of the world. You got to look at LAs of the world, New York's, Orlando, Houston, places where Democratic mayors win consistently, Chicago, right? Now, are you seeing organizing at a high level where you have a new Georgia project / voter registration drive to get folks registered? Most of the time you have to just register and let them choose their own. Is there an effort in these cities right now? Some of you guys are in New York. Some of the trap squad is in LA. Some of the trap squad is in Miami right now. I know for a fact folks in Atlanta are watching me right now. Hey, y'all. Like, to these folks, do you see the Green Party doing organizing, or do you see the Green Party talking about it? Do you see? And I'm not trying to be rude or mean. I am trying to be realistic here, because this is the time frame that you would have to do it. And it's a numbers game, right? How many if you look at the electoral college, the way that we win elections until Trump next time, the way that we win elections, does the third party have the infrastructure? And I'm not saying the third parties are bad. I'm saying we need to look at the math. Is the electoral math working to get the election won from a third party? That means that they would have to have more votes, more electoral college votes than the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. Where are these people going to come from? They're going to come from urban centers. They might come from rural areas, especially places that were impacted by Trump policies like tariffs and things like that. And losing jobs, right? And the white farmer in New Orleans, in Louisiana, who can't find workers because the black folks are like, I'm not working for you for $10 an hour for 3 weeks straight with no days off. Where's that third party get their people from? You have to ask these questions. I am not against it. I am not organizing it though. Nobody called me to hire me to organize it, but I could. There's a lot of people who could. But where's the work being done to increase the numbers so that when Trump runs, hence me saying a Green Party billionaire would be great for me, because it takes money to do that. It takes money to hire the people that you need for a third party to be legitimate. And I'm not trying to be negative here. I'm trying to say, like, yes, there are organic movements. There are organic movements across the nation. And I've seen them before. Black Lives Matter was an organic movement. Civil rights movement was an organic movement. But don't you think for a second that they didn't have paid organizers in Alabama, in Selma, in Tallahassee? They were paying organizers to go down there because they had to pay their bills. Does the Green Party, does the Independent Party have these folks that are going to be able to pay their bills and go teach people the spirituality of the Green Party? And do they have that in a time period where you can have enough people to win the electoral college by the next election? That's my thought.
No, they don't. They don't, unless a billionaire come along and drop the cash. Now, that would just be the reason I would support that, because that would just be a very interesting democratic experiment, right? Somebody drop $1 billion on funding a third party run and who has got name recognition. Like, it'll weaken the Democrats, but at the same time, it's like, what are Democrats doing right now anyway? I really come back to this main central thesis that is just ringing in my head over and over and over again. If they're not calling out white supremacy, they are going to repeat the same problem over and over again. So a billionaire could come and drop $1 billion on the Green Party, but if they're not going to call out, and when I say call out, I mean actively work to dismantle white supremacy, then we are literally going to do the same loop again in 4 years. And I just emotionally can't handle another to go through this loop again, where we make one step forward and then hell, we do 60 years backwards. You know what I mean? Like, I think Trump may be a one-off in history, but I think he's laying enough groundwork now so that the next version of him doesn't have to be as great as him. And when I say great, I don't mean good. I mean, like, just he was a wild card enough to pull off all of this madness, but he is institutionalizing this racism, man. He's institutionalizing fascism. And so if somebody's coming in and they are just talking regular talk, I don't even think progressive talk is enough. I think universal basic income is great. Good. Let's do it. I think that'll help. I think they can even win. They could win. Yes. But are they going to win the war? Because we're in a long trajectory of a war, and white supremacy is the thing that we're fighting against. And I just don't really see the Democrats doing it. I don't see any of the new power sources that are gathering, and the new media companies that are gathering. People who got the money and the resources, they're gathering, but not one of them is fixed on the true problem. They're all just saying Trump, Trump, Trump. Yeah, but what created Trump? White supremacy.
Hey, you mentioned war, right? We gotta still be on the battlefield. Having a president that gets elected on the premise of those universal systems is a good way to stay in the battlefield, right? Like, so like, here's the thing: getting elected, it's like, I mean, here's where the movement part comes in. There's a lot of elections that are going to be along with the presidency. There's going to be a lot of other smaller elections, congressional seats, Senate, like state representative seats, state Senate seats. Like these folks don't run alone, right? And a leader that's going to galvanize and do something. Let's call it do something Democrats. Like a do something Democratic movement, right? After my experience in Georgia recently, for the past 48 hours, I can't front. I'm starting to lose faith in the fight of Democrats because they want to keep repeating the same thing and expecting different results. And I think that is the definition of insanity. Nuri says the only person who could create a real third party is Bernie Sanders because he's already a popular politician who can raise the money. Bernie does not want to do that. Bernie kind of sold us out on that fact right there, right? And I'm gonna tell y'all something. This is a basic American premise, and I learned this in my life recently, personally. The disrespect is the closure. Bernie, you got disrespected, and you went right back to the Democratic Party. And Bernie, you had your opportunity, the greatest opportunity in American history to start a viable third party, and you didn't. And you should have, because the numbers were there. Ben, let me finish what I'm saying, and I'll pass it over. The numbers were there.
I'm just saying, which year? Which year do you say he should have started the third party?
Oh, after he should have went into the Trump administration doing third party work. He should, yeah, absolutely. I have no doubt about that because he had all the momentum, right? He could have been in the third party, and let me tell you something: the numbers don't lie. If Bernie had made the general election, even against the Democrat and the Republican, Bernie would have won a general election. The numbers were there. He had an opportunity to do that. The power structure scared him off. He wanted to get things done as a senator. People forget that Bernie had that kind of momentum. And the money.
And the infrastructure.
But no, Bernie had, think about this for a second. I'm not even going to talk about the people he had all over the nation that was working for his campaign at one point. Bernie had enough money to keep his campaign going with all the people that were on his campaign for all 4 years of the Trump administration. And he didn't do that.
What did he do with the money then?
What did he do? He started our revolution and started raising money for candidates and didn't start a third party. He started raising money for Democrats.
Yep. That whole movement, man. What
Hey
a
man,
waste.
hey man, I try to stay away from things. I try to stay away from things that cause me trauma. So
Ah,
I try to stay away from everything in
even
my life that causes me trauma. That's
even
right.
even Barack Obama though. Democrats aren't smart.
Charlene A says Bernie is a multimillionaire. She sure is. He sure is. He's a multimillionaire.
Even Barack Obama, with the infrastructure he had going into 2009 as president, the absolute dumbest move that he made was standing down that entire infrastructure, standing down that entire power structure, that entire mode of communication, and just running everything only and solely through the White House. Look at what Donald Trump is doing now. Donald Trump's power is not through the White House. Donald Trump's power is what he maintained and sustained over the last 4 years while he was out of office, what he built while he was in office. And I'm just curious why now 2 for 2. You talk about Barack Obama didn't do it, and neither did Bernie Sanders. And I'm like, why? And I guess the point is that they're ultimately both afraid of people power. Donald Trump's not afraid of people power. Democrats
No,
are.
no, because people power means that the corporations that the neoliberals trust and believe in to bring us to the Big Ten is going to lose money. You can't have people power, man. We might start making decisions and actually taking care of ourselves and being less self-sufficient, right? Like I did the numbers. I wish I could share this with you on my. I got to do it on my phone. I actually asked the question to Chat GPT. I wish I could share this, but I'm gonna read you the prompt that I put in, and I just want you to. I want to read what it says. Not Sith Lord ranking. That's the kind of stuff I'll be looking up. Sith Lord rankings. All right, here you go. The question I asked was. Let's break down the cost of potential benefits of implementing universal basic income and universal basic health care in the United States using rough estimates and numbers. Okay, current American government revenue, this is from 2023. The total federal revenue is approximately $4.9 trillion annually. The sources include income taxes, payroll taxes, corporate taxes, etc. The cost of basic universal income, the assumption. The number of Americans are about 3 million. Proposed UBI amount, for example, $1,000 a month per person. If you calculate annual UBI cost, 330 million times $1,000 times 1, that's $330 billion. I'm sorry, trillion dollars times 12 it ends up being $3.96 trillion. The result, approximately $4 trillion annually for $1,000 a month UBI for every American. The cost of universal health care ends up costing us $2 trillion. So if we combine the cost of universal health care and universal basic income, it's $4 trillion plus $2 trillion. Which federal income is $4.9 trillion. The funding gap will be approximately $1.1 trillion annually. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. If that doesn't make sense,
I'm with you.
I can repeat it, right? So it's basically going to cost us $4 trillion for universal basic health care. Universal basic income, $2 trillion for health care. For just health care, universal health care. And the American government brings in how much again?
You said 7 trillion?
7 trillion. So that means that even leaves us a little money for War Machine.
I think
So here's what I'm saying. The American government can afford universal basic income and universal basic health care. And if you subtract the people who make over a certain amount of money, which should naturally happen, then you even got more money. Oh yeah, this is without even taxing. We haven't even. That's using the current model. let's imagine we taxed Amazon what we're supposed to tax them. Let's
Right.
imagine we tax all these big companies. What should be? No, they're using the current revenue system for America, and we have enough money for universal basic income. We haven't even talked about taxing the billionaires.
So here's the thing. I think that there's a there's an aspect that if you throw it in there, I think it will improve your model a little bit. In that money, that $1,000, especially if you're talking about people who actually need it, that money's going right back into the economy.
Absolutely.
Medium. That's going right back into boosting like spending and boosting the GDP. So it's a win-win, even beyond the fact that we could squeeze it inside of our current budget. It's a win-win because that money is going right back into the system every single month.
That's right. So let me ask that. So how much of this money that the American citizens would go back into the economy, hypothetically? And it says, okay, the multiplier is generally estimated between 1 and 1.5, meaning for every dollar spent, roughly $1 to $1.50 could be generated in economic output.
Say that one more time.
Okay. For direct transfers like universal basic income, the multiplier is generally estimated between 1.0 and 1.5. This means for every dollar spent, roughly $1 to $1.50 could be generated in economic output.
Right. You're going to generate more.
You're going to generate more money.
Listen, no, the truth is that they absolutely know that there is a better economic model where everybody makes more money, including the billionaires. The only thing that changes is instead of them sending the money to the top, you send the money to the bottom. And because it's going to the bottom, it naturally has nowhere else to go but up. And if you do that, you literally create a never-ending supply of growth that doesn't need to exploit anyone. Here's the thing. These devils know that. They would rather maintain a system that is based on the misery and the extraction from us at the bottom than to ever allow us the freedom to actually be free, right? But here's the free, like if we're free economically, then every single billionaire in this country makes more. So they would rather make less to be able to suppress us than they would to enact an economic model that they know about. They know full damn well that we can be making even more wealth than anyone ever imagined. The only thing you got to do is funnel that money through the bottom. If you do that, it's explosive, never-ending growth.
You know, the secret is not out yet, but I believe the next president, and I believe if the country can be pushed towards fascism by a fascist that doesn't want to call themselves a fascist under the auspice of democracy, then I also believe that democratic socialism could be pushed as democratic socialism under the auspice of democracy in our country also.
I don't mean to get off track, but Angie Lofton said who was snoring. I heard some snoring. I was going to ask you if that's Wody Bobo back there snoring.
Wody. Hey, buddy.
That boy be snoring like that?
He's an English bulldog.
How big is he? You know, I haven't seen how big he is in a while. Oh yeah, no, that's a grown man.
He's an English bulldog. Wody.
Boy, that thing I remember when he was a baby. My goodness.
He's a big boy.
That's what we were hearing. I knew I heard it. I was like, wait.
Yeah, that's Wody back there snoring. Man, you messing up my podcast, homie. Hey Ben, man, let's get on out of here, man. You got it.
I'm trying to cover up my yawn.
Yeah. Hey, listen, before we go, to all of the subscribers of the Ben Dixon channel that came over, please make sure you like and subscribe on the Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap channel, and also go over to the Marcus Farrell Live channel. I bring you content on how to win elections and other nice things and ideas that come to my head. I do want to leave on a positive note. Guys, love yourself.
Yep.
I've been going through healing, right? Like real big time healing energy, man. And I feel amazing. And like, you got to remember something. When you put yourself on the pedestal and instead of anybody else, you end up receiving the universe's blessings, or if you're a religious person, your own blessings. Like, focus on yourself. Do things also. Y'all guys, go outside and take a walk. Go work out. Take a walk. Tomorrow morning, everybody who's watching this, if you can walk, if you're able to walk, take a walk. Do something to ground yourself. Do something different, and also do something to make yourself successful. Thank you for watching Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap. We're out, I think. Yeah, we're out. Ooh. Yeah, eventually. There you go. There you go.
Trap squad, 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 trap squad. Hey, clickbaity political. Yeah, thirst trap, trap squad, squirrel squad. Our mission is critical to speak the truth to the masses. Yeah. We here for the fight. We ain't started, but we here to finish it. Sick and tired of seeing the privilege. Take advantage of the weak and the innocent. So we let a voice be heard. Every single weeknight, unapologetic. Black people, despite this white supremacist system that we live through on a daily, we still throwing up those acorns cause we represent clickbaity. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad. Let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad. Throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad. Yeah, I see you, yeah, I see you. Trap squad, trap squad. Clickbaity thirst trap. Trap squad, trap squad. Hey, squad. Let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad. Throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad. Yeah, I see you.